All right, rookie minicamp is underway in sunny LA. And the Chargers went out to the Bolt, their practice facility, and they got things going. And it looked totally different than probably any minicamp around the NFL, and totally different than minicamps had in the past for not only Harbaugh, but the Chargers. And we're going to talk about why that is, how it all has to do with an Easter ham. I mean, like, these are the kind of things you get with Harbaugh. But before we get into that, let's talk about why we're doing this channel. We are Detroit Lions fans, but we love this man, Jim Harbaugh. We're from Michigan. We've followed him for a long time just because he played at Michigan. And then I followed him when he was coaching at Stanford and with the 49ers. And then, of course, when he came to Michigan, won a national championship, just in case anybody was wondering. And then back now to the Chargers. And he's completely changing the culture there. And what's going on at this mini camp is totally in his vein. Like, this is exactly what Jim Harbaugh does. He doesn't care what other people are doing. He just cares about what's best for his team. So we want to give you an honest look into what the Chargers are doing, and maybe even a little more of a different view, because we've been understanding, me and Chris Harbaugh, for such a long time. And then we can just talk about how jealous we are of how good the tacos are in California compared to what we have here in Michigan. But I do like tacos. Anyways, Chris said it's a thing here. And, hey, thank you all for welcoming me back. It's been like 6 months. Anyways, busy with other stuff, working on the other channels. So excited to be talking Chargers football again. It just is at home. So let's start off with a little analogy that Harbaugh talked about. Let's start off with just a little analogy. He offered an anecdote and informed why he changed his approach to rookie minicamp. So first we're going to talk about what it is, and then we're going to talk about the change, and we're going to talk about why he just keeps staying a step ahead of it was college, now it's the NFL, and just loving the way his brain thinks. He heard a story from his mother. His mom's name is Jackie. And he said her mom would always cut off 1/3 of the Easter ham every Easter and bake it that way. And Harbaugh said, so my mom asked her mom, why did you do it that way? And her mom said, well, that's the way my mom always did it. Like, how many of us know that, right? Like, well, I do it because this is how my mom did it, or this is how my dad did it. So my grandmother asked her mom, why did you cut off 1/3 of the Easter ham every year? And my great-grandma said, because the oven wasn't big enough. And he said it just gets to the point, to the analogy. Just because something always has been a certain way doesn't make it the right way. Just because something has always been done a certain way doesn't make it the right way. What if we are not thinking correctly about what rookie minicamp should be? All right? That's where Harbaugh's talking about. He's talking about what the reason is for minicamp. And the reason for minicamp is to figure out who's good enough to make this team. He even went on to talk about how we need to identify talent. Let's identify a guy who has talent is good enough to be here. I'll show you this quote. All right? Then take them through the 11 on 11 in a couple weeks rather than do it backwards and see if they're good at 11 on 11 right now. We likely would not get that diamond in the rough, that gem, right? Because you wouldn't see the talent as much. You might see who has been able to learn a system better. Picture a 90-minute meeting to go over defense and offense and then go out on the field. And when we're judging who's learned the system better, but we're not really seeing the capabilities that they have talent-wise. So basically what he's saying is I trust myself and our coaching staff to coach them up. But this is a day for evaluation. All right? And that's what I love. Listen to this one. This is a day and a weekend for evaluation, Coach Harbaugh said before Friday's practice. Really just mining for gold, diamonds, gems. Those rare gems, they don't just hop out of the ground and right up into your pocket. You've got to dig. You got to go in there and find them. So that's what I want to do today. Top of the list. So that is what he is doing. So when I'm recording a video for my so hard, but it's backwards, for my Lions on Sports Talk Detroit, I'm talking about a rookie that's already standing out. When I did another video on our Sports Talk Extra channel, I'm talking about a rookie that was standing out on a different team because they were playing 11-on-11 drills, and they're lining up in different spots, and they're running different routes. Maybe it's a wide receiver and things like that. When I do a video here for the Chargers, thank you, Mr. Harbaugh, I'm talking about how you're one step ahead of the NFL. I'm talking about how you're changing the way the NFL is going to think about rookie minicamp. You're evaluating. And I talked about this, I think, in the video yesterday before I even knew any of this was going on. I talked about how Harbaugh, he loves the NFL, but he was in college for such a long time, both with Stanford and then Michigan at a D1 level. All right. I think he was at like the University of San Diego or San Francisco or something like that before that. Right. But he was in the college for so long that he still is obsessed with the team building. He's obsessed with the depth. He's obsessed with finding players where, you know, they're going to compete and they're going to be a critical part of the team, even though nobody thought they would. And he's obsessed with taking players and putting them in different positions than they usually would be. Matlock, thank you. Right? Like, this is what Harbaugh does because he wants to. It makes me think about this, right? We just got a hot tub. And I think about how when I get out of the hot tub, I usually stand up in the hot tub and then I try and wring out every bit of water out of those shorts, because I don't want it to get my towel just dripping wet so I can use it again the next morning or the next day or whatever that looks like. That's Harbaugh. He's wringing out every bit of water trying to get it out, right? Because he wants to make the most of this roster. And that is the difference between wins and losses in the NFL. That is why the Chargers were able to go from a team who traditionally underachieved. I hate to say it, but with the previous coaching regime, they traditionally underachieved. We know what that's like. We're Lions fans, for crying out loud, right? From a team that would traditionally underachieve to a team that in year one overachieved. With the amount of dead salary cap that was on that team last year, with the amount of holes that were on the roster, everything we talked about at the beginning of the year, because we started this channel before the year started, right, was they have enough talent, but if they have injuries, if they have anything like that, they could be in trouble. They had injuries. They kept winning, right? It went from no chance to a playoff team under Jim Harbaugh, and this is the kind of stuff that he does that enables him to continue to have success. All right, I hope you like these videos. Football season's right around the corner. Rookie minicamp, we'll keep talking about it when I do other videos and stuff like that. But how awesome is it to see the players? Like, you get to see film. They're in those beautiful uniforms, and it's almost like you can immediately tell, like, yeah, this guy's going to be good. This guy isn't. Like, it's just awesome. Awesome. And it tells you that football is not that far away. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.